2000, Congress ordered federal regulators to write a side impact crash test for children's car seats. 26 years later, according to NHTSA's own notices, that test still isn't being enforced. So the companies wrote their own tests and passed themselves. 8 brands have the documented record. 3 earned the opposite list. Everything here comes from NHTSA recall reports, CPSC notices, and a congressional investigation. Links in the description. Number 8. Baby Trend. May 2023. NHTSA recall 23C004. The hybrid 3-in-1 combination. Booster in desert blue. The latch webbing, the strap that anchors the seat to the car, failed the minimum initial braking strength required under Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard 209. If it frayed, per the notice, it could fail to restrain the seat in a crash. Baby Trend reported 0 incidents and told owners the seat belt installation remained safe. That's the small one. The bigger one is in the December 2020 staff report from the House Subcommittee on Economic and Consumer Policy. That investigation covered 7 of the largest booster seat manufacturers in the country. And when the report published, Baby Trend was one of only 2 companies still marketing boosters for children as light as 30 pounds, against what the subcommittee described as a decades-old expert consensus that boosters aren't safe below 40. 2 companies. So who was the other one? Number 7. Diono. September 14, 2017. Diono filed a Part 573 recall report with NHTSA covering 519 052 child restraints, the Radian R100, Radian R120, Radian RXT, Olympia, Pacifica, and Rainier, manufactured between November 2013 and September 2017. The problem was narrow and specific. Installed forward-facing with a lap belt only and no top tether, the seats didn't conform to FMVSS 2113, increased risk of head or chest injury in a crash. No injuries were reported in that configuration. Diono shipped a remedy kit, updated manual, an energy-absorbing pad, a new chest clip. Then 2021, recall 21C02, the Cambria 2 booster. Per Diono's own notice, the headrest assembly could crack or break during a severe frontal crash. The fix was a replacement backrest, and owners were told they could keep using the seat backless in the meantime. Here's the detail worth holding on to. In a later petition to NHTSA, Diono argued a labeling non-compliance was inconsequential, partly because consumers would assume anything on a U.S. shelf already met the mandatory standard. They're right. That assumption is exactly what number 1 was built on. Number 6, Dorel Juvenile Group. Dorel Juvenile Group. You know it as Safety First, Costco, and Maxi-Cosi. March 2025, NHTSA recall 25C004, 73, 144 harness boosters, Safety First, Comfort Ride 3-in-1, Boost and Go 3-in-1, Boost and Go Essential, and the Disney Baby Magic Squad. The forward-facing installation label said a child between 43 and 57 inches could use the internal harness. The manual said 34 to 49. Both were printed on the same product. NHTSA's language: an incorrect label may result in an improperly restrained child, increasing the risk of injury in a crash. The remedy was a sticker. 2 years earlier, Dorel recalled Safety First Onboard and Maxi-Cosi Miko and Coral infant bases because the self-retracting lower anchors could deform and fail to lock, allowing the seat to detach. And in the congressional report, Dorel was named alongside Britax and Artsana for marketing side impact safety features, while failing to disclose that those features hadn't been objectively shown to increase child safety. Not a lie, just never proven. Stop here, because this is the rule the rest of the video runs on. There is no federal side impact crash test currently being enforced on the seat in your car. NHTSA published the standard, FMVSS 2123A, in June 2022 and set a compliance date of June 30th, 2025. Then, manufacturers petitioned, citing limited access to compliance lab sled time. NHTSA paused enforcement and proposed moving the date to December 5th, 2026. So when a box says side impact tested, the company chose the test. Remember that for number 1. Number 5. Chico Iguish Artsana Chico, sold in the U.S. by Artsana. And this one stings, because Chico builds seats that test genuinely well. The December 2020 subcommittee report named Artsana as one of 5 manufacturers marketing booster seats for children as small as 30 pounds. In the subcommittee's letter to the Federal Trade Commission, Artsana was also grouped with Britax and Durrell for deceptively marketing boosters with unsubstantiated claims about side impact protection features. Artsana moved. Its website switched to a 40-pound minimum. The subcommittee even noted Artsana appeared to be following suit. Then, here's the human detail. According to CBS News, the day the report came out, its producers walked into a store and bought a Chico booster, still labeled 30 pounds and up. A press release changes in an afternoon. A label sits in a warehouse for 2 years. Number 4. Britax. January 21st, 2016. A joint CPSC and NHTSA recall. Campaign 16C001. About 71. 000 Be Safe. 35 and Be Safe 35 elite infant car seats in the U.S. The carry handle could develop cracks and break, dropping the seat while it was being carried. Britax told regulators it had received 74 reports of the handle cracking. The remedy was a reinforcing bracket. June 2017, over 200. 000 Be Safe 35, Be Safe 35 Elite and BOB Be Safe 35 seats, because the center tab of the chest clip could break off. Per the notice, a choking hazard to the infant in the seat. No choking injuries were reported. Owners were told they could keep using the seat if they removed the clip or watched the tab for cracks. And Britax appears in that congressional finding on unsubstantiated side impact claims. Now the honest part, because this channel isn't in the business of burning brands for views. Britax's current seats rate well in independent lab testing. Both things are in the record. That tension is the whole point of this video. A company can build a competent seat and still market it in a way a congressional subcommittee calls deceptive. 3. Kids Embrace. Kids Embrace. You've seen these even if you don't know the name. Batman, Spider-Man, Minnie Mouse molded straight into the shell. The subcommittee's December 11th, 2020 letter to the FTC put Kids Embrace in the group that deceptively marketed boosters as side impact tested, while, per the finding, none of those companies conducted a reasonable test that measured risk of injury or death to children. Then, a finding aimed at Kids Embrace alone. The company claimed all of its booster models were side impact tested when, according to the subcommittee, only a few models and configurations were actually tested, and Kids Embrace was the second of those 2 companies still marketing boosters for 30-pound children when the report published. Which means the most visible safety signal on that product, the thing a parent's eye lands on in the aisle, is a superhero. Counter: 5 of 7 manufacturers marketed boosters for 30 lb children. House Subcommittee DEXI 2020. 2 numbers before the top 2. NHTSA estimates car seats reduce the risk of fatal injury by 71% for infants and 54% for toddlers in passenger cars. The seat is not the enemy. It is one of the most effective safety devices ever put in a car. Second number. In a letter to NHTSA, Senators Cantwell and Duckworth cited reporting that side impacts accounted for an estimated 25% of vehicle collision fatalities for children under 15 in 2018. 1 in 4. And that's the crash nobody was required to test for. Number 1 is about exactly that. Number 2. Graco. and this is the biggest entry in the entire record. February 2014, Graco recalled roughly 8 million toddler seats, then expanded it to 2 million. The harness buckle could get gummed up with food and dried liquid and stick in the latched position. Parents reported to NHTSA that they had to use excessive force and in some cases cut the harness straps to get their children out. Graco refused to include its infant seats, arguing an adult could just remove the entire carrier from the base. NHTSA sent a letter questioning that, accused the company of using incomplete and misleading recall documents, and threatened civil penalties. 5 months later, Graco folded. July 1st, 2014. 9 million infant seats added. Snug Ride Classic Connect, and others. Graco's own June 27th letter conceded a higher than typical level of difficulty unlatching the infant buckles. Final total, 1 million seats. The Department of Transportation called it the largest child seat recall in U.S. history. NHTSA then opened an investigation into whether Graco reported the defect on time. Exposure, up to 35 million, and in December 2020, Graco was named among the companies that deceptively marketed boosters as side impact tested, and among the 5 that marketed them for 30-pound children, until this investigation made them stop, which leaves one. Even Flow, the Big Kid Booster. ProPublica reported Even Flow has sold more than 18 million of them. Until 2007, Even Flow marketed the Big Kid as safe for children as young as 1 year old, as long as they weighed 30 pounds. Because NHTSA never enacted a side impact standard, Even Flow wrote its own. And per ProPublica's review of internal documents, test videos, and depositions, under Even Flow's rules, the only way the Big Kid could fail was if the child-sized dummy ended up on the floor, or the booster broke into pieces. The videos show dummies bending violently at the hip and neck, thrown out of the shoulder belt, heads and torsos careening far outside the seat. Even Flow graded every one of those a pass. In a 2019 deposition, Even Flow's top car seat engineer was shown that footage and acknowledged that if a real child's body moved that way, the child could suffer catastrophic injuries or die. The words on the box stayed, "Side impact tested." CBS News reported the case of a 5-year-old girl who weighed 37 pounds, riding in a Big Kid booster on her way to school when the car was struck from the side. She was paralyzed. Years later, she remains dependent on a ventilator. February 12, 2020, Representatives Krishnamurthy and Porter opened a congressional investigation. December 10, 2020, the staff report lands, calling Even Flow among the worst offenders and referring the matter to the FTC and to state attorneys general. Even Flow's public position has been that it pioneered side impact testing, that its seats are safe, effective, and affordable, and that it complies with all federal regulations. That last part is true. That's the entire problem. Even Flow stopped marketing the Big Kid for 30-pound children in early 2020, after the investigation opened. Not before. The 3 that actually protect 3 seats earned the other list. None of these 3 companies were among the 7 the subcommittee investigated, and each one is here because of published test data, not a claim printed on a box. Cleckleeing. Consumer Reports' highest-scoring infant car seat, rated best for crash protection, rigid latch connectors, and a load leg, the strut that runs from the base down to the vehicle floor. CR's own crash testing has shown a load leg helps absorb crash forces. CR also notes the fabrics are free of added flame retardants, and the narrow shell makes 3 across seating realistic. The trade-off CR flags. Rethreading the harness takes patience. Nuna Pipa RX. In Baby Gear Lab's commissioned crash testing, the Pipa RX recorded lower head injury criterion and chest sensor readings than any infant seat that lab has tested. Rigid latch, load leg, built-in lock-off, 8, 5 pounds. And Nuna's AACE booster took the best crash test score in that lab's booster group. It is also one of the most expensive seats on the market. Cybex Cloud T, Consumer Reports, rates it best for crash protection. Load leg, anti-rebound base, rigid latch, seat belt lock-off, clear belt path markings. CR's testers call the seat and base bulky and heavy to move between cars. Notice the pattern. The seats that test best are heavy, expensive, and slightly annoying. That's not a coincidence. It's what load legs and rigid steel cost you. One caution, and it matters more than any brand on this list. No seat protects a child it isn't holding correctly. NHTSA observed children in more than 4,000 vehicles and found over 46% were in seats misused in ways likely to reduce protection in a crash. A certified inspection station will check yours for free. And for anything specific to your child's size or medical needs, that conversation belongs with your pediatrician. 3 things to carry out of this. 1. Side impact tested is, for now, a phrase each company defines for itself. The federal standard exists. Its compliance date has been paused. 2. This was never one bad seat. 5 of the 7 largest manufacturers marketed boosters for 30-pound children against a 40-pound expert consensus, and it took a congressional subcommittee to move them. 3. The fix is boring. Right seat, right size, installed tight, and registered, because a recall notice can only reach an address it has. Go to CPSC, GovRoich Recalls, and NHTSA. GovRoich Recalls right now and check the seat you already own. It takes 90 seconds. Then tell me in the comments which brand on this list surprised you most. I read them. And subscribe if you want the next one. We track every new recall in this category so you don't have to. Next, the stroller brands with the most CPSC recalls of the last decade. The Big Kid Booster is legal. It was always legal. Legal was never the question.